we would like to welcome you again in this conference, the second conference of the Forum for Reform and Change. As I said, we have started in this conference about 2 years ago. However, it is part of the track of the research in Sharq Forum about the transformation in the social movement after the Arab Spring. This had started in 2018 and it was a research project about the Islamic political movement because they were one of the most important social actors in the area at that time. And this was the first research in 2018-19. And we had a booklet which was issued which talks about the transformation within the political movement in 7 countries in Islamic political movement. And then with the second wave of movements in 2017, Sudan, Algeria, Lebanon, and Iraq, there was also another project which had continued for 2 years, 2019, 2020, and we had 6 reports issued about the Islamic movement changes in those countries. After Corona, there was a re-evaluation of this track, and we started talking about this forum, the Reform for and Change Forum. We wanted to bring all the actors, social actors together and to consult them on the latest developments internationally, regionally, and we needed to think together about how to deal with these circumstances, changing circumstances on the international level and the regional level. We have started this in November 2021, and we had a talk about the most important developments in the international policies as well as the region and the impact on the region. This is the second conference which is going to use the same logic to try to understand what is happening on the international arena, politically and economically, and in the economic arena, and its impact on the region. So this is how we did the studies we have now. At the beginning, we have 2 sessions which give you a general overview about the international transformation in politics, and the second, the economic crisis. And there are going to be 3 sessions which are linked to the East, or Al-Sharq, the Middle East, as well as Africa and southern, which is the southern part of the desert, and then Asia. And there's going to be a session about this impact of the international in the international arena on the Arab-Israeli relations. There is a small amendment to the program because we wanted to increase the use of this discussion. Tomorrow we are going to have a final session where we are going to be talking about the future. What else? What next? After looking at the changes on all the levels, we need to have this question. We need to pose this question: what can we use this analysis for? What can the actors in the area benefit from such analysis? The final session is going to be a brainstorming session about how we can come up with recommendations from what we have heard and listened to during those 2 days of the conference. Just to draw your attention, first, the discussion, the format of this conference is a format where you have the workshop and the conference. There are speakers who have prepared their own list words, and you will have a summary of those. And there is also this discussion, which is going to be with the guests in all the sessions. That's why we are going to need now at the beginning, the main speakers are going to deliver. After that, there is going to be a discussion with the guests, because running such discussions while we have so many people who are professionals like you, this is going to be a challenge to the facilitators. What we need you to do is just be strict in regard to time, because we want to benefit from all the people here as much as possible. The last thing, now the first and second sessions are going to be on social media. of the forum. After that, all the rest of the sessions are going to be internal because we want you to be more focused and to give you more space for the and freedom in expressing your ideas. Those are the main things. I would like to thank you again, and we would like to start our conference with the opening speech of Mr. Waddah Ghamfar, the head of the forum. The floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace be upon you. I would like to welcome you in Sharq conference. And now in this speech, I would like to share some ideas with you, some of our ideas in the forum, which have come as a result of a number of workshops, discussions, and dialogues we have conducted in the last few days, months, and years. Now, the first idea, which I believe we have we can all agree on, that the whole world is changing in a very deep manner. It's not normal change. Usually you have usual change, but this is different kind of change. This is not the thing which you are accustomed to in regard to the rise and fall of the international powers in the 300, which we have been accustomed to in the 300 years. This is a deep one, and it is accumulative, and it has a number of layers. There is a change in this international world order, and there is a change in the economic order, and I believe it's going to be deep. This is a question which I pose to the professors who are going to speak next. And then there is the civilization's change. There is an end of a cycle we cannot neglect, which had been there for 3 centuries. Now, this cycle of civilization is reaching a level at where it has a dilemma. The centralism of the West, the West centralism, which had been controlling of all the sectors, economy and ideology and politics in the last centuries. Now, the people of the South, the people of the Orient, the people of the margins have started to notice or discover that there are gaps which cannot be covered or dealt with as the situation is. Those are changing. Now, there you have the classic Western liberal, which was attractive for us with its principles, which were beautiful to a large extent. However, we started to see modernism, which had changed so many important concepts. And then after modernism, now you have a new type of modernism or postmodernism. However, today, we face a new thing. Today, the West is still considering themselves the source of principles. However, the principles which are exported today are shocking. To adopt those social systems, like, for example, talking about the family, the way in the last few years this had changed. Now this is the priority of the American foreign policy and the Western foreign policy. This change in regard to the family for so many people of the world and for the region is shocking. And that's why we cannot deal with those as a result, or as a product which we can apply on the ground, like the other products like democracy and capitalism, etc. And the other problem is the economic issue. Now we see that there are shortcomings of the new liberalism, and the gaps are larger than they used to be. However, what is more dangerous, the people of the South, who are not the center, who are in the periphery, now they have more confidence in themselves, more than they used to have in the last 3 centuries. I'm talking about Africa, Asia, Latin America, as well as the Arab world. We have been either occupied in the past, we have been fully consumed, or maybe fully in harmony with the international world order of the past. We were obliged to do that because we were occupied, or we were ignorant, we were dismantled. We could not have the ability, or we do not have the enough confidence in ourselves to develop our own concepts socially, economically, politically, and to develop our own philosophy in regard to, which is based on our cultures, which have been there before modernism, like Africa, Asia, and the Arab world. However, today, the world has more confidence. The non-Western world is more confident in themselves. They think that they have something which they can use to come up with a new world order, which is more deep and deeply rooted in this reality. This was made because of the media, social media, because of the new generations who have learned, traveled, and who have been part of the international system, who discovered that, yes, we have beautiful things we can offer, we can compete with what is provided by others in the world. Why I'm saying this? Because I believe that in the Islamic world, we are large in numbers, and I insist on the nation of Islam. We are 2 billion people. We are a large number. We are a real entity, a huge entity, where you have the spirit, which I believe is still alive, spirit. Although we have inherited for decades those changing concepts in regard to the nation understanding. We had the nation state, or which had become the protector of the order of the identity of the human being. In the past, the nation's definition was more vast. The political regimes were not of value in identifying for the people. I would remember Ibn Battuta, when he traveled from Tanja and then to Maldives, and then in 30 years he went to most of the countries in the Islamic world and neighboring countries. He went 120,000 kilometers through those 30 years. At one day he was a judge in the Maldives, and one he was a consultant for a prince in India, and then on the other day he was governing some places. This man, when he traveled, was the son of the whole nation, was a citizen of all the land he went to. No one said, oh, you come from that country, you are not part of this. No, he had the right to live within the nation border and to be part of its political, social life, as if he is one of the citizens of the area, of the region. Someone would say the whole world had changed. Now you can not do the same and travel from one place to another. No, remember, politics in the time of Ibn Battuta was not great. He started, I believe, 1,300 something. At the beginning of the 14th century, the Arab world was dismantled like today, and even worse. We had tens of emirates who have been fighting each other, and the countries who have been slaughtering each other. However, we have never felt that the movement of the nation have been restricted with this political conflict as today, because the nation was above the politics. However, in the nation state, it's the state which defines the nation. However, for us, it's the nation who creates the state. It's vice versa. Why I'm saying this? Because when we accepted, especially the elite, and I'm here talking with the elite, because the ones here are not ministers, no presidents, nor people in politics. However, when the elite, the thinkers, have accepted just to focus on theories and beliefs and the long-term beliefs within the what is possible politically. Within this limit, we have given up on the nation of the Ummah's spirit, and then we need to place this with the nation state, or with the necessities, or the emergency needs. This is what I was saying. What made us as an Ummah great was not that we belong to a state or a place, but because we belong to the wider space. You and me, remember, if we took the Bukhari from Uzbekistan, and if we took out Imam Muslim from Persia, and Abu Hanifa, people disagree on whether he was an Arab or not. This was not important at that time. We have started this dialogue today, not before. And if you take out Abu Hassan al-Shadli from Tunisia, who have created the Sufism movement, who have followed Abdul Abbas al-Mursal, who came from Egypt, who came from Andalusia, Ibn Arabi as well, who went from here to there. Those big imams, Imam Malik, who did not leave Al-Madinah, and the Africans have followed him. They didn't say he's related to us. This is the Islamic figure which have created this accumulative nation. Is what was created by the Ummah, not the state. The group or Jama'ah of the Muslims was something which was before the state and continued to control the state, above the state and beyond the state. This is what created the mass consciousness of people. The states have tried to use this and employ this, however they failed.
أن جاءت الدولة القومية المعاصرة والدولة الوطنية واستطاعت أن تتملك بشكل نهائي ليس فقط الأرض ولا الاقتصاد بل تحقق عقول الناس. وأنا أخشى أن عقول النخب حتى نخبنا نحن في كثير من الأحيان قد تأثرت بإطار مفهوم الدولة وحدودها وضروراتها وانكفأت على ذاتها بعيدا عن فكرة إنه إحنا نفكر بشكل جمعي.
about group or the nation thinking.
هي الدولة القومية.
I ask myself this question: the nation state, who built this? It came from Europe. However, the Europeans have discovered that this is limited and it's weak, and this is why they became a European Union, while we are still adhering to the nation state, the old one. We are afraid of the nation, of the states of falling. Yes, the Arab nation states are the most failing around the whole world. However, in our history, to a large extent, our elite still belong to the state more than belonging to the group, the full group, the one beyond. However, the Europeans who have been historically dismantled, who have different languages, religion,
اللي ولدت في وستفاليا إلى مفهوم الاتحاد الأوروبي بشكل تدريجي تكاملي، وإحنا ما زلنا لا نستطيع أن نفكر بذلك حتى مجرد تفكير.
Just thinking. I'm not saying implement it. We cannot do this, neither me nor you. It's someone else who needs to do this. However, that's the spirit of complementing each other, of the mass.
أن تبدأ النخب بتخيله ثم بتصوره ثم بالتخطيط له ثم بوضع مناهج كفيلة بالوصول إليه ثم تلتقطه من بعد ذلك النخب سياسية تعمل عليه
would start tackling. That's why Sharq system, which we've been thinking about, we have an economic union,
تكامل سياسي إلى
political
أمنية جامعة.
system. I believe that this theory, which we started working on about 10 years ago, this is our original theory. Maybe today is the best time to apply it. Why? Because the hegemony of the West on the Arab world is less, and because there is the weakness of the international world order. There are cracks in the world order which allows you to think outside the box. As well, the regional system today, I think it's better in regard to the communication which we see today. It's better than the past, and I believe that we can start thinking about a group, a space which puts us together, where we can stop this consummation of us. No one can come up with a full economic and security, prosperity and political security as the situation is in the East, in the Islamic world. However, we can at least think about a number of countries who can communicate with each other, work with each other, and develop those capabilities. This forum, I believe it's an attempt to reach the following. First, we need to agree on a diagnosis for what those changes around the world, whether we are talking about the geopolitics or the economics. After that, we are going to attempt to reach a new vision, a new concept, which we are going to discuss. Maybe those would lead to solutions on the long run. Why I'm saying that? Because I'm always afraid of the world. No, this is going to be useful. No, it's not happening. They will not accept. They will not answer. They will not respond to us. No, the elite, the thinker, the scientists should not ask such a question. The scientists should say, at the end of the day, is it going to be correct or not? If you look at the values, at the principle, is it correct or not? Is it possible or not? But to put your mind inside the box of the necessities of today and the moment, I think just as the normal politician politicians, yes, of course, you need to understand how politicians think. However, as someone who had been recovered from being a politician working on the ground in the field, and I believe it's very important to enlarge our awareness framework to have a wider system. I always say the European Union have been created after the Second World War. Do you know what is that? What does that mean? They have killed each other. They destroyed each other. They burned each other. Millions of people have been killed. 1945, the Second World War had finished. And then Marshall's Plan had started for the reconstruction. Marshall Plan itself had this work of complementing each other. In Europe, if you have said this before that, they would say you're just crazy. We've just killed each other. However, they've seen that, yes, it is necessity to go in this track because they don't want to have more massacres in the future. Now the Arabs, the Muslims did not massacre each other. However, we are not thinking about how to communicate with each other beyond the current political systems of the state to reach complement new full complementing political economic systems which are wider. It's an attempt to come up with a consensus, to build a consensus around this new contract of the nation, of Al-Ummah, not the current political situation of the states. And we need also to assimilate, understand the political change, economic change, whether on the level of the state, on the region, of the world. And then we need to reach the real roadmap, which is going to help us gradually to move towards a more stable system or order, because the change moment is coming. The Arab and Muslim world is not going to stay as is. It's not possible. This current situation cannot happen. This is the nature of reality of things. 10, 15, 12, 20 years, we don't know. But at one day, we will have new consciousness. This new consciousness, this new form will be in need for action, work, and people to pave the way for that. I believe the elite are going to be those who start this. They need to have the higher principles above the current momentary interests, which are the result of the conflict of today. However, we can then move gradually to a plan which might be something. This is why we have this conference. We will, as Mr. Muhammad had said, the last session in the conference would be where we will try to gather all the ideas which are said, because we don't want you to say, oh, yeah, we discussed things and we have seen everyone, and I would like to welcome you, of course. However, we don't just want to discuss things regardless. We want to come up with an idea about what is possible in such a contradictory world. Now, if we put our work together, and minds together, maybe we can come up with some practical steps or ideas about, and we need to look at the vast space, not about the moment. And we are going to gather the information, the ideas, and we are going to try to formulate those so that we can have practical steps forward. Again, I would like to welcome you. May God greet you. And now we move to Mr. Sami Zaidan to open this first session. Peace be upon you. Thank you very much, Mr. Waddah. Peace be upon you, His blessings and mercies, everyone. Sami Zaidan, your brother, it's my honor to open this first session, which is under the title Understanding the Current Changes which are happening in the New World Order. I would like to welcome you, and I'd remind you to have your mobile phones on silence. And I would like to remind you that there is a translation available in English and Arabic.
Being able to get hold of a headset, just to let you know, there is simultaneous translation available in Arabic and English, and you can get a headset from the back. So please don't be left out of the discussion.
At the beginning, allow me to talk about the agenda of today. We are going to listen at the beginning to two speeches from two people, Mr. Yassine Saadi and Mr. Hassan Ourid, after of which we are going to hear or to listen to Hassan Nafi'. After that, we are going to open the space to the people who are here to participate in interventions. I would like to request from the speakers at the beginning of the session to commit to the 10 minutes which is allocated for them, so that we can have the floor for the rest of the people to participate with you. And then I would like to help you through giving you those cards to remember that you need to stop on time. Of course, this session is going to be discussing the new world order, which had been clarified by Mr. Waddah. And I would say that there is no difference amongst anyone that we see that there is a new world order changing. The people are settling their accounts, Ukrainians and Russians. There are consequences from COVID in regard to the economic and political arena, and the whole world is moving towards a new era. We are going to discuss this and the effect of this on the Middle East in the Orient in general. I would like now to welcome Mr. Hassan Ourid, who is the Professor of Political Science at Mohammed Khamis University at Rabat, and he has been an official speaker, and he has been speaking on behalf of the Royal Palace in Morocco. The floor is yours. You have 10 minutes. In the name of God, I would like to thank the head of the session and the people, the guests. I believe this is a timely meeting. We don't want to just come up with and talk about the news, but what we need to do is to think about what is happening, to think about the future. We should not have talk about the future without discovering what is happening in reality, as Mr. Waddah Khanfar had said. At the beginning, the first result or the conclusion is that the whole world is now at the end of the holiday of the strategy. The world was in a strategic holiday which has ended. And this reminds us of the era at which was at the end of the First World War. The strategians say that this period is similar to 1018 and 1930. People have thought the First World War is going to be the last, or in French, la guerre de guerre. So, however, this system, which has been created as a result of the Versailles Agreement, had the seeds of confrontation in the future. That's why we can say this new system, which have appeared after the Berlin Wall or after the Gulf War, had the seeds of confrontation. Now we are at the era of the universal conflict, which might be leading to a universal war. And we need to first diagnose the situation, to start with the Ukrainian war and the Russian-Ukrainian war. First of all, the whole humanity have come into this challenge, was facing this challenge of existential challenge. The whole humanity now is facing this danger of nuclear attacks. There are countries who are threatening to use the nuclear weapons, and there is a competition in regard to the nuclear attacks. And this a threat to humanity. So we have real existential challenge in addition to climate change, which is going to change the whole map of humanity in regard to famines and displacement and refuge. And we say the whole humanity Anthropocene, that this is a new geological situation where we can affect nature.
This geological history has become old, and we've started a new era of history, and the human beings are able to change the nature in a relative short time, in addition to the epidemic challenges. So these challenges are not only limited to the ideology, like what happened in the Cold War, but epistemology, after the fall of Berlin Wall. But there are new challenges. The second conclusion that imposed itself was the end of the unipolar the power of the United States. The unipower has ended as the United States, and we don't have a new power, and we are between the two. The third conclusion, the end the new economy is not depending on win-win, but we have a zero-sum game, so everyone wins, affects the other, going to be the other loser. It's going to be lose-lose. So big powers are expected to lose more than winning. So this the situation has become has changed. The fourth conclusion, the radical Islamism, the war against terrorism is not the main policy of the United States, or not the top of the priorities of Washington or the United States. These conclusions lead us to a new factor. They are not seeking a collective system. In the Cold War, we were under the control of the terror balance, and analysts say that humanity has become under the effects of the imbalanced terror. So from the terror of imbalance or balance to
يشبه في أنحاء منطق الحرب الباردة ولكن يختلف عنها كذلك.
Like what happened in the Cold War, but it is similar to the Cold War because there is ideological reference between China, for example, and the United States. China is a communist, and the United States so there is a race. When we talk about the influence, there is also race in armaments. All these factors remind us of the Cold War, but the situation is different from the Cold War because it's not a matter of ideology or a system or order. This could lead to a confrontation that could lead to the end of the humanity. These conflicts or this conflict has a type of civilization. China presents itself as a civilization. Also, the United States presents itself as a civilization. When we talk about liberalism, freedom, and human rights, Russia as well presents itself as a holder of civilization, or the Russisky Mir, the Russian word. In the midst of situation, there are no mechanisms to control the arena, and this is opposite what took place in the Cold War. And this race, was mentioned by Blinken, the competitive existence. It is not like what happened in the Cold War. We are under complicated nature, different from the Cold War. He told me to be brief, so I need to quicken my main point in my paper. This is the general situation. There are no paradigm or reference. Three factors are the main factors: United States, China, and Russia. Those three factors, they have a mixed reference. Every power considers itself a nation, but at the same time, they have ideologies and civilization are different. This is different from the first were called the nationalism was the reference. But now, today, we have three factors. They present themselves as a nation with ideological reference. They express themselves with their civilization. To conclude, let us define the international ties and relations. Who defines them? The United States and China are those who define, like what took place in the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, they are lined up with alliances. The West trying to expand the power of NATO, creating new alliances like AQUIS and AQUAD, as he says. I'm not sure if I pronounced them well. Also, seeking to apply the program. If you remind me again, I am troubled. Even if I exceed the time, this embarrasses me. Give me time, please, if you don't mind. This confuses me. Please, save myself from this help. Please, I am embarrassed. I need time, he says. The United States is lined with a system to the Silk Way, like I in Latin, in Build Back Better World, Build Back Better World, which is led by the United States, which is a supportive project led by the global gateway led by the European Union. This project is a second Marshall. To conclude, not to exceed the time, we are now, we don't have a paradigm or reference. We don't have it. And this situation will result in tiring the factors. As we are talking about the big world war, this situation will make the factors exhausted, but at the same time will result in new adoption of new factors. New factors, new workers will adopt themselves to the new situation and will conclude and result in the emergence of a new factor. This is an extreme brief presentation. These are the points I wanted to share with you. I hope you give me time more to expand through the dialogue. Thank you indeed. Thank you very much indeed. I apologize for quickening the speaker, the second speaker, Mr. Yassin Saadi. He is a professor in economy and international studies.
هل تحتاج إلى مساعدة من الكروت أم تضبط وقتك بنفسك؟
Advisor, are you going to be? Do you need to be reminded, or you are going to be controlled? You are going to control your time? No, I don't need. He's not saying I agree to you all. I agree to organize it from a Sharq. It is a big coincidence to me today in a country that has just ended his extreme campaign, where all the world watched this elections campaign, and the international media covered it extensively. And we also saw some former officials who broke the institution
قد تكون
way
تكبيرا للصوت
and made
أو
statements to make
مكبراً
noise,
للصوت الذي يهمس في بعض
making the
دوائر
noise
القرار
bigger
على المستوى العالي
the
في العالم.
voice which is whispered in other international
دولة
decision makers.
محورية
Turkey is a
وهي
central
حلقة
state, a
وصل
country, and it is
إلى
a liaison
العالم
or a
الشرقي
link between the East and the
والعالم
West.
الغربي، وهي لاعب أساسي
And it is a
وجزء
major player
من
and
المعادلة،
parcel of the equation,
ولها دور محوري
and it
لا يستهان به
has
في
played
إعادة
a
رسم
big role in redrawing the balances and the map
العالمي
or the
الجديد.
international system, a new international system. I apologize, I'm sorry, he says.
Gramsci
Gramsci,
فيلسوف
the
والمفكر
philosopher, the Italian philosopher
عندما
and
كان
thinker,
يتحدث
when he was
عن
talking
بروز وظهور
about
صعود
the
الحركات
emergence or the
القومية
presence of the
المتطرفة
national
قال مقولة قد
extremist
تكون
movements
معلما نهتدي
said,
به
which could be a
لقراءة
very important
العالم
guideline
كما هو
to read the
وليس
word
كما
as it
نتمناه
is,
أو نريده.
as it is,
قال
not in that rosy picture. He
العالم
said, the
القديم
word, the
يحتضر
old word
أو يموت
is dying,
والعالم
and
الجديد
the new
تأخر
word
عن الولادة
is,
أو الظهور
has not
وبين الخط
appeared
الأسود
yet.
والخط
And between the white
الأبيض
and the
تخرج
dark
الوحوش.
line, monsters will appear.
الحروب
These wars or the wars
تغير
could
الخرائط
change maps,
ولكنها تتسبب
but
في
they
هزات
cause
جيوسياسية،
geopolitical
هزات ارتدادية، هزات
tremors
جيوسياسية تغير
that
الباراديمات
could change
والمعايير
the paradigms
والمفاهيم.
and the
الحرب
understandings.
الأوكرانية
The Ukrainian war, for
الروسية أو
example,
الروسية
or the
الأوكرانية،
Ukrainian Russian, as he says, war.
يعني العالم لم يتعافى
The world
من
has
جائحة
not
الكوفيد
recovered
حتى
from
وجد
COVID,
نفسه
but they found
أمام
themselves suddenly
على شفا حرب كونية
on the brink
قد
of
تجعل
a
مستقبل
big war
الإنسانية مرهونا
that
بضغطة زر
could threaten the
يرمي
humanity
بها إلى الجحيم النووي.
with a button, a nuclear button
كما
that
قلت
could
الحروب قد
destroy
تعيد
the
رسم
mankind.
الحدود الجغرافية،
Wars
ولكن تتسبب
could
في هزات
redraw
للصفائح الجيوسياسية وتغير
wrote the word,
الباراديمات
but it
والمفاهيم
could also the
والمعايير الدولية.
understandings and
إن ما
international
يميز
systems.
الحالة
But
الراهنة
what
من
makes
خلال
this
شبكة
era
قراءة الصراعات
distinguished
القائمة
is
هو
after
مزيج
reading the
الأبعاد
conflicts, the
الذي
mixture of
يميل الملاحظ
dimensions
تلقائيا إلى تصورها
which
بشكل
any observer
منفصل
could
فقط
observe
في المكان
separately
والزمان.
in time and
فهناك
place.
تشابك
There are
متزايد للصراعات
complexities
الداخلية والمحلية
when we talk
والإقليمية
about the local,
والدولية.
regional and international
تعددت
relations
أقطاب النظام
with
العالمي
many
اليوم
polars,
وهي غير منتظمة
and they are not
وتتسم
regular, and
معذرة
I'm sorry, he says,
بوجود خطوط صراع
there
وتحالفات
are
متحركة.
conflicts and
وهذا
alliances
المثال
that they are moving,
يتجلى
and
بوضوح
this
في الحرب
example
الأهلية
is
السورية
clear
وفي
in
الصراع
Syria,
الليبي
in the civil war in
ونلمسه في
Syria,
الدور
and the
التركي من
conflict in
النزاع الروسي
Libya,
الأوكراني.
and the role of
ما
Turkey in
نلاحظه أن
Ukraine.
الأزمة الأوكرانية
The
استدعت أشباحا
Ukrainian crisis
كان
brought
يعتقد
monsters
أنها
and
اختفت
ghosts
إلى الأبد.
that they were supposed
لم
to have
يبلغ
disappeared
النزاع
forever.
المسلح الروسي
The
الأوكراني
armed
درجة حرب
conflict
عالمية
has not
بمفهومها
reached to the
الكلاسيكي،
war,
ولكن
world war
ظهرت
in the classical
عليه
term,
من البداية
but
كل أعراض التدوين
we
التي
had all the
أخرجته
symptoms and
من رواق
manifestations
الصراعات
of international
الجهوية الحدة
that came
المنخفضة
from the
إلى ساحة
podiums and
النزاع
arenas,
الموسعة
and
التي
they
قد
have
تغير
all
بنتائجها
factors in Ukraine. They
خرائط
could
التوازنات
change the map
العالمية.
of international
يعود
alliances
بنا هذا الصراع
in
إلى الحرب العالمية الأولى
in Ukraine.
والتي
This
تعتبر
brings
حرباً
us back to the
مؤسسة
first
والرحم
war,
الولادة لكل
which was
النزاعات
the womb of
والصراعات
all
التي
conflicts,
يعيشها
all
العالم
wars
إلى يومنا
that
هذا.
the world is living
كانت
till
الحرب
that
العالمية
being
الأولى
the first
وبدون
war,
العودة
world war,
لأسبابها
without
والتفصيل
talking
الدقيق
about the detail in detail
لنتائجها
about the reasons and the
تمهيداً
conclusions.
لتحولات
It was
كبرى
like it paved the way for the major power of the United States on the international arena, and it was a reference to the cynical death of the mankind. There were Versailles Agreement and Lausanne to the Sykes-Picot Accords, all ended in the empires in Europe and limiting the aristocratic hegemony and ending the empire in the Ottoman Empire that have a lot of conflicts in the future. And the defeated states, some humiliation was imposed and humiliating borders were imposed and become fertile soil, create extremists and authoritarian regimes, including the fascists and the Nazis. The end of the agreement was the fuel for the Second World War that ended in the nuclear weapons in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world has become in the state of no war or without any peace. So they have become two parts: liberal, led by the United States, and the communist authoritarian, led by Russia. Armed, and also with the armed one of Warsaw. This Cold War, with a lot of ideological conflicts and armed weapons, starting from the Ukrainian to the Cuba, it has to the Cuba, and they have not become a war, big war, because they have become thermostat as controlling the limit of this war, and the terror of balance was imposed. The First World War, starting from the major east from Jakarta to Tanja, that created a new state in the Middle East, not happened before, which was the implanting of an entity that made the conflict permanent. And the Middle East countries have become under the control of the major powers. So, the world is witnessing the Gramscian moment since Yalta Conference, which paved the defeat of the Nazis, reaching to the Malta, to the first Gulf War, as it was mentioned by Hassan Ourid, and the appearance of international system, but the geopolitical condition, reality tells us that people are adopted to a new philosophy, and the new revolution has not till the time being. The world are balanced between fragile agreements and ceasefires. The war between Israel and the Arab homeland, the first Yemen war, Iraq, the invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviets, then by the United States. We need also to remember the war imposed by Serbia on the Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was the spirit of revenge. It was the main engine for the expansion of Germany. And now there is similarity between Germany and Russia today. Russia is vindicating after it was defeated, and after the Soviet Union ended. Putin said, he addressed the representatives in the Duma in March 2014, he said, and accused the Western powers of dividing Russia since the beginning of the 18th century. The West stands behind the dismemberment of Yugoslavia and the civil war, as the West were playing with the factors, and the West was responsible for the Arab Springs and the rallies in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine created a big division in the American influence, the Sharq, and some states had balanced policies to serve the political interests. Saudi Arabia, for the first time, turned to China, the giant China, to be mediator with a new chapter with Iran, and they had strong ties with Putin. Also, the United Arab Emirates that distanced themselves from following the American attitude in terms of Ukraine. Also, COVID showed the fragility of the world despite all the advanced technologies and the medical systems in many countries. China, the exporter of COVID, after reputation was destroyed, but they managed to run the crisis, and they changed the crisis from internal problem into a strategy. The Americans and the Western are not the first to resort to. China, Brazil, and South Africa, they created, and South America created a new alliance in dealing with the American. The Third World War is excluded for the time being, as the real peace is impossible, as Raymond Aram said. So the conflicts are horrible, and the conflicts postponed. Conflicts are horrible. China could invade Taiwan, and there is also Kashmir crisis, Israel and Iran, but it is postponed. The large major Morocco, there is conflict in Libya, and also there is disagreement between Algeria and Morocco. There are a lot of areas for armed groups that could dismember Africa and the area, as Africa is desired to be controlled by all the worlds. And the Palestinian cause become the Kurdian crisis for the international world. People has entered the digital age, and the major powers are racing. They are using large amounts of money to control this. The world is about to have radical changes, including the military, that could make the conventional war is something primitive. The wars have started, and the military have become, like when we talk about Blackwater and Wagner, they are supporting the regular militaries. So it is not conventional conflict as asymmetry, which destroys the clear-cut lines of the conflict. When we talk about the military and civilian and the complexities of the areas, there is no difference between the conflict zones and the free or safe zone. The Sharq countries are standing at a crossroad, either to be released from the guardianship since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, and this needs to reconcile in reconciliation between the systems in that area, and to break the ring of empires, and in bringing new reforms, in the political reforms, reaching to the social conventions that could dedicate the legitimacy of the power. Or the major Sharq East will be a place for the bloody conflicts and exporter of refugees, and then a new guardianship will be imposed. Louis Libby, he is the founder of the American Horn, and he was among the new conservatives. He said on TV clearly, we need to be clear, the world is divided in two parts. The first, useful, predictive, technological one, and the other one is desperate, creating crises and conflicts. The problem that this plagued world is the source of the power, energy, sorry. So when using the satellites and the drones, so the sponsors are, the shepherds are controlling the cattle, and you need to consider this. The Western world is reorganizing defense alliances and systems. Some new states joined NATO. Finland, Sweden are knocking the door of NATO. The large budget allocated by Germany since the end of the First War for the military. There is also revolution in military in Japan from 8% in 2021. The West is facing Russia and fighting it on the border, but they are preparing for something greater, which is the big challenge. The big concern by America is the power of China, and also when you talk about the Communist Party that is going to reorganize the international world to serve the Middle Empire, which is considered the big challenge of the Cold War. When Gandhi was asked about the Western civilization, he said in irony, it was a great idea, because it is the birth of a new order that regulates the ties in the new era. The nuclear power. Mike, please. I can't hear. So the Middle East, with the resources, human resources and natural resources, have the capabilities that qualify them to create a full reform project, which is called the Horn of the Big Shark, or East. Thank you indeed. Yasin Saadi, thank you very much indeed.